Alright. Wow, my hair looks horrid. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to Channel Blue. Today I have another opinion / advice video. If you have been waiting for more short videos over music with my, video clips, I am basically almost out of storage on my phone, and I can't take videos on my phone anymore, and I can only record video on my computer now. So that's gonna have to wait until I get a camera this summer, or I figure out how to get some storage back on my phone. So yeah, that's gonna just have to wait for a little bit because I don't have the means to be recording videos of the outside world anymore. But they will make a return, so don't even worry. I know that no one's worrying, but just in case I'm wrong, they will make a return. Today, like I said, I'm going to be doing more of like another advice video like my last one. And this one's going to be about self-respect and why it is important to have it before going into relationships. And when I say relationships, I mean any kind of relationship, not just like the romantic relationship, but also friendships. Friendships are a type of relationship, that kind of thing. This is a concept that's been introduced to me, I don't know, years ago, and it's something I've, always heard about, and I know, and I've known for a long time that you are supposed to have self-respect, and that it is a good thing to have self-respect, and it's helpful for your relationships. But self-respect just kind of felt like an empty platitude, honestly. I knew that it was beneficial, but I also didn't think that in not really having it, anything wrong was going to happen in my relationships. And recently, I've learned the hard way that that is not the case. It is important to have self-respect in relationships, and here is why. When you don't respect yourself, other people's needs are going to take precedence over your own. And by extension, other people's validation is going to be more and more something that you are willing to sacrifice your time and energy to receive. So, for example, if, one of your friends is really into a particular video game and you don't like the video game, who cares what you think? Not you, right? You don't respect your own wishes. So if they like this video game, then that's just an opportunity to get closer to them. And that's all, that's your goal. That's all you care about, is to, even if you have good intentions in all you want to do is get closer to this friend and be a better friend for them, that is still the goal, is not to listen to yourself, but to mold yourself into someone else's ideal person. And then this happens for another person, or this same person has a change in opinion or a change in preference on something. And so, therefore, you're going to match whatever they're interested in and whatever they're not interested in. You might develop the same opinions as other people simply because that's what they think. And it doesn't matter what you think, as long as you're being a better friend to them, then that's all that matters, right? The issue is, with this type of thinking, is that when you don't have self-respect and you sacrifice yourself for other people a certain amount of times, people are going to start picking up on that. And this, around the wrong people, can just be an opportunity to control you. When you're constantly throwing yourself around different interests or opinions in life based on what other people think, people are going to start to notice, and they're going to notice that if you don't respect yourself, you're not really going to stand up for yourself either if they say anything about you. So that's one downfall of not having self-respect, is around the wrong people. A lack of self-respect is an opportunity for pain and damage to you. Another thing is, if you don't respect yourself, like I've kind of hinted at before, you're going to be, swaying in the wind with everyone else's opinions and everyone else's interests, and you're not going to have anything unique to bring to the table, because you're going to spend all of your time trying to please other people that aren't thinking about you all the time, and they have their own hobbies and their own interests outside of you and outside of interacting with all other people. And if you don't respect yourself, you're not going to ask yourself what you're interested in and then follow through or spend time and energy to nurture your own interests. So, if you don't do that, you are also not going to have anything interesting or unique to bring to the table next time you do hang out with these people. And that's only going to make things worse as well. That's another thing that I've learned recently. And so for these reasons, I just realized my mouse was on the thing. Okay, well, goodbye, mouse. These are just a couple lessons that I've been learning recently about self-respect. And now I know, for whenever I feel like reaching back out again to create relationships in my life, I need to start with myself. And I'm saying the exact things that felt like empty platitudes to me for years. It sucks that life is this way, but usually, in order to fully understand something that you don't want to pay mind to, you're going to have to go through something that you wish you didn't have to in order to learn that lesson. I've made mistakes and seen that considering self-respect to be an empty platitude is not a smart way to go about things, and it will have consequences. And so in that, I'm now able to kind of make a full cycle into saying the same things that I used to disregard. But at the end of the day, I do think that if anyone is disregarding the importance of self-respect and similar topics like self-love in general, eventually you're going to have to learn your lesson too about that. Or just keep being in pain your whole life, relearning the same lesson over and over until you can't take it anymore. And you fall into a pit of blaming yourself and feeling paralyzed emotionally. I think that it is very important, if you find yourself in a similar place, to catch up with yourself like you would with an old friend. Because at the end of the day, your relationship with yourself is also still a relationship. You do have to nurture yourself. Every single day you have to self-soothe in order to get out of bed in the morning instead of staying in your bed sleeping all day. And in every single hard thing you do, there is some level of self-soothing involved whenever you're doing something that you don't want to do. We are constantly interfacing with deeper and more emotional and more vulnerable parts of ourselves all the time, every day, no matter what. And if you don't work to make that relationship better with yourself, it's going to create problems that are only going to eat away at all of the rest of your relationships. So, there's a little food for thought on self-respect, self-love, etc. And a gentle push towards, if you also relate to the earlier mindsets where you prioritize other people over yourself, to spend some time and actually think about this topic and dedicate a little bit of time to figuring out what your next steps could possibly be. Asking yourself questions like you would to someone else. Showing interest in what you desire like you would for someone else. And following through on things like you would with someone else. And see where that takes you. emotionally and see how much more life you're going to feel in yourself after you do that. And I think if you cultivate a good relationship with yourself, you're only going to be increasing the amount of love you feel in your life every day. And the more love you have just as a baseline for yourself, that love is going to easily overflow onto others, and it's going to be genuine. It's not going to be seen as desperate like it might seem if you don't respect yourself and are constantly throwing yourself, at the whim of other people. It's going to actually be and feel and be received as genuine, because that is what it is. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to be impressing anyone else if you already are self-sufficient on your own. And that is only going to take stress off of your relationships and make healthier interactions more easily occurable. I don't know if that's a word. You create an environment where, those kinds of interactions, those healthy interactions and good times that you can share with your friends, you create an environment where those things can happen more naturally and more often. And maybe even can occur more deeply. Leave more of a lasting impact, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, that is my little note on self-respect and the importance of having it. That's low-key all I've got today. So, stay tuned for more of my opinions, and then also later down the line, more, video journals of, the short clips over music and stuff. Eventually that'll come back. So, that's all I've got. See you later.